It's Sunday. It's 9
Hey!
p.m. and my YouTube app kind of recommended this video to me, so that's why I'm here. I
That's
got
because
the
you've been watching
notification
good
in the middle of
videos.
the intro.
You've been
So I
watching
guess,
good videos, Morton. That's why. You know what I mean? You've
yeah,
been watching good
YouTube
stuff.
knows what I want to see. And welcome all. And as you probably can see, we're only 4 people today. Tobias is not, well, he is still among us, but he was in an accident and he's struggling with a broken shoulder and a little bit more complications after a bicycle accident. So he is in the chat, but he's not on stream. Hopefully he'll be better next week and be back. I mean, Tobias, we hope you get better soon.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get well, buddy.
So, yeah, propagation. Before we get there, let's start with our ham radio weeks and let's flip it up. Bob, how's your ham radio week been?
Pretty much non-existent. I've been to the metal festival for four full days, so I'm pretty much beat. But yeah, that's an awful lot of that.
And what kind of bands did you see though?
Oh, it's me and remembering things. There was for me the fun part is the old guys. So seeing Guns N' Roses. I have to say Axl Rose. He sounds like a really not well asthmatic at the moment, but we still have Slash. Right? He's getting really old and he's close to death. It sounded like it's just sad, but it's fun. It's a band I grew up with, and it's still the same songs. We still have Slash. He's still as brilliant as ever, standing there with his guitar, and I enjoyed it. Maybe even more to see it sort of towards the end of what I fear is his life. But I don't know if you're fans, but things like November Rain, I think that the vocals on the LP is pretty brilliant. He really shouldn't have attempted to do that with what remains of his voice. I think that was a bit sad, but great fun. I saw Iggy Pop. I saw Billy Idol with his project Generation Sex. That was great fun. And an awful lot more, but my memory is not it's not good at the best of times. And now after 4 days at the festival, that's what I can remember. Yeah.
And I actually I read about the Iggy Pop concert, and Iggy Pop's actually 76 years old.
Yeah,
he's a young man.
You can see that when they zoom really into his face, but seeing him on stage, you wouldn't believe he's 50. So
he still looks like Jennifer Aniston. So.
No, it doesn't. But he's energetic. Clearly, very energetic.
Yeah. Got a question here from Bert. What are your favorite metal bands?
You know what? This is a strange thing. I like to go to a metal festival because I like metalheads and I like the feel of it. But metal is not normally something I listen to. So I just enjoy hearing all the new bands I've never heard before. That's my favorite thing about going to these shows. I go with my niece. She's 19. And she's really into this, and she drags me throughout to all these bands that she's heard, and they're good. And she tells me the story and how it's going to sound like, and basically anything. It's great fun. I recommend it if any one of you have a chance in the future. Yeah, metalheads. It's fun. That was 30,000 people, 4 days.
Music. Let's just talk about music the whole hour.
Yeah, no. I have to get this out though.
No. I mean, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It is, and festivals. I think it's the best way of experiencing music. That's my opinion, at least. A concert it's one thing where it's compressed. You get to maybe 3 hours with a really mad performance, and that's it. A festival, you got the full 4 days, and you're just exhausted, completely exhausted at the end of each day, and you have four of these days after one another. Fantastic experience.
So, no radio for you this week then?
No radio for me this week. No, sorry. I was trying to do the local group, radio group, as an endless activity on last Sunday of the month. I was trying to participate in that. Had the clock set for 8 o'clock. that did not work. It's not compatible with metal festivals. Sorry.
And I just got a comment on this this from Nathan though. You think ABBA's the worst? Imagine ABBA played on accordions.
Hey, time out. I love ABBA. Guilty pleasure, man. They're like awesome. One of my favorite bands.
So let's try to get back somewhat on, if not topic, on subject. Anyway,
Yes,
Shannon,
Yep.
you got a fantastic green screen background today as well. How's your radio
Yes.
week been?
It's quite good. Green screen is actually reactive. It's quite fancy, advanced technology called Nature. But I'm out at my cabin and been not doing very much. I done one Parks on the Air through a phone activation. Managed to get N1CC on another one. I was missing one band, so I got it on 6 meters. Contact with Italy on 6 meters. But I heard some other guy nearby here that was doing US on 6 meters QSO, but I could only hear Norwegian end. So I was kind of jealous from that. Other than that, I've been doing repeaters, like 2 meters. I had a chat with you, Morten, and some rings on 2 meters. And yesterday I sat down and tested out Station Master a bit, portable. Just outdoors doing the King of Spain contest on 20 meter SSB. Just 100 watts out here behind the cabin with a vertical antenna. Got a few QSOs, got to play around a bit with logging software. Quite fun. Worked as expected. And yeah, it's not been a very radioactive week, to say the least.
Speaking about, I kind of lost my train of thought here now. Let's try to get it back.
That's so metal, dude.
Yeah. Speaking about logging, though, I saw in your pictures on Facebook, I think it was, that you were running Station Master. So I guess you've tried out Station Master now. What do you think?
So far, it was good. I used it for logging the King of Spain contest only. So I think I messed up a bit with the setup. With my secondary account, I was logging as my contest call sign, but managed to get that working again. And yeah, it was smooth enough. I haven't tried exporting anything yet. All that stuff, I just logged the QSOs, and that worked perfectly. Also tried uploading some images. Yeah, I like it. It's as Stu showed us last week. It's pretty. It's modern, and it works as far as I can see so far of it. So that's good to see.
I started to experiment, or I plan to start experimenting with it today, but turned out that exporting my log from Ham Radio Deluxe took a bit longer than expected, so I haven't gotten there yet. But I will. I'm going to try this out and see if I like it as much as I think I will. Hopefully I will. Walt, your week.
That would be me.
You have been, you're not your last week in Poland, but almost your last week in Poland.
This is my last weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been experimenting with gray line and propagation. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I it's put out a video on it. I noticed. Here's the deal. Here, and now we're going to get on topic with propagation because I did this. But one thing for me, being in Poland, the gray line's shaped kind of like this as it comes across right now in June, right? Well, where I'm from in the States, it's either like that, or like that. So I get maybe an hour, if I'm lucky, an hour and a half or 2 hours of gray line at max at home in Virginia, in the United States. Well, one thing I noticed here is, like, especially here near the summer solstice, I'm in the gray line almost all night long. I know you guys are. You're farther north than I am. It's really cool. And I stumbled across that really not thinking about it. But I would get up early in the morning and you'll see it some of my older videos. I would get up early in the morning. I go in. I have to be on base at 6 a.m. Sometimes I get up at like 4, and before I'd have coffee, and before I jump in the shower or whatever, I just turn the radio on, and I was noticing that, man, I'm killing it to North America. It's awesome. You know what I mean? It's like there. And then I'd go and look at a map or whatever. It's like, oh, no wonder we're both in the gray line right now. So that was kind of cool. So last night I stayed up late. I will admit, after a day of fun and festations, but I stayed up because I really never catch the gray line coming this way, and just kind of experimented a little bit. You know, I mean, and I noticed. I wish I'd have done this more. It's getting a little late now, but I was pushing it down to the northwest coast of Africa, and then picking up South America. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. So the gray line video I did was kind of impromptu. It came. I was like, you know what, this. Just an experiment and stumble across it, and I was like, you know what, this is cool. It was really neat to experiment and check that out. But other than that, earlier in the week, this past week, being close to the last week, I'm here, really busy. Didn't do a whole lot during the nights of ham radio, but that's my week.
Yeah, awesome. I'm just trying to experiment a little bit with an additional camera here as well. Because
one more thing. I want to say hello to Stuart's mom and dad. He said he's at his folks' house watching. So
yeah,
I know.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
And the question is, though, I'm out of focus again. It's not just your glasses missing, Walt. It's my camera. Let's see if we can pull that back.
It's reflective, that tape.
It is not reflective. It's just green screen material.
Yeah, okay. There we go. Much better.
Yeah. And that brings us on. And I'm going to see if I can get the additional camera to work here in a little while. I'm just going to start here because I want to clarify one thing. A couple of weeks ago, turns out I got to put my phone up against my face for Face ID to work. A couple of weeks ago, we actually got a super chat for you to get a green screen, Bob. Oh, that's upside down.
Only slightly.
Only slightly upside down. I'm
Yeah.
going to see if I can rotate that in OBS. I'll keep talking.
We're professionals here.
Yeah, I'll keep talking, and you look at my desk while I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, fix the polarization on that antenna. The propagation is not good on it right now. We gotta.
Yeah. Let's see where that. We should have Tobias in chat here now because he's the OBS ninja.
He is in the chat. Let's see if he has. You want to help him out, Tobias?
I think I found it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I did.
I see that.
And, I'm just going to open my phone because we got a super chat for you, Bob, regarding the you getting a green screen. And let's see here. And this is how we transfer money in Norway.
Everybody has his number.
Everybody has my number. It's on many places. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it.
I actually didn't think about that, but you should have a message on your phone now for green screen money.
Awesome.
And
now, 70 kroner. How many Screaming Eagle greenback dollars is that?
That's about $10 minus the commission that YouTube takes.
Or a 6-pack of Miller Lights. So thank you so much, Walt.
Yeah, or one beer in Norway.
Yeah.
That is not a beer at a bar in Norway. I can tell you that.
That is not what you pay to hang your jacket at the bar in Norway. So,
yeah. But speaking about that, I did this to just illustrate a point, though. If you super chat or donate anything during the TEHRS stream, those are money that goes to us as a show, and we'll use those money to do something fun on air. So those are not money, even though it's my channel. It's not money that I'm going to spend myself on that.
Does that mean I have to put this on my my income tax report now, Morten?
I do. I'm not sure about you. because my YouTube is actually a business though. It's technically a business. So
I do not have a very nice relationship with a Norwegian taxman.
But speaking about that, so if you guys were worried about that, these are our money that goes to us as a show in order to do something cool, to figure something out. Then again, back to my ham radio week. I've been playing with antennas this week. I've been trying to get on the 4-meter band, and I know that's as a European thing as you can get it. I had a 6-meter dipole, which I tried to trim for 4 meters. Not successful yet, but I'll get there. And then I've been playing around with the China stick again, the JPC-12. I've become not friends with it, but at least acquainted with it. Due to the comments in my videos, I've been able to figure out how to tune it, and I managed to tune it on all bands, as some of you guys probably saw in my video yesterday. Took it out to POTA today, did the activation, everything worked, tuned pretty easy on the bands I wanted to use, so it's not a half bad antenna actually. Let's see about.
Good. I have one. I'm going to go home and use it. So I'm glad to hear that, because you had me worried. I was getting ready,
and for not being prepared though, I'm just going to pull up another tab here. Let's see here, because I am putting on a Hamfest.
Yes.
Let's see if I can share this tab here. For any of you guys that is in southeastern Norway, on August 20th, I'm putting on a Hamfest. So cool. everyone's welcome. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for my my ham radio week. It's been the first time I've been able to mix work and ham radio. And
that's good stuff.
Before we get started, though, Bert asked, how many QSOs are we at in total? I think he's asking. And my answer is, I'm not sure. My Ham Radio Deluxe log shows about 7,900. But then again, I lost some due to a computer crash half a year ago. So somewhere in the ballpark between 8,000 and 10,000, I would think.
You guys have a lot more than me. I can tell you why. I don't call CQ much. I hunt, and sometimes I'll hunt and I'll hear guys like, nah, don't want that one. Don't want that. That sounds snobby, doesn't it? But I hunt for DX. Being a DX hunter is a little bit different. I'm probably in the 3,000 to 4,000 QSOs.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Morten shared my confirmation screen. I ordered the backdrop, the green backdrop. Thank you so much.
That's nice. That's the fancy kind of green screen.
It is. Let's hope it works.
Yeah. Mine was £6 on Amazon UK, and it's got the texture and feel of a paper napkin.
All right. Yeah. This one is sponsored though.
Yeah.
But we're all talking on top of each other. I'm going to talk for a little bit, and I'm going to pass the torch to Kjetil about a little bit of funny story about the number of QSOs, because up till about 4 months ago, I did mostly just local nets and FT8. So I have quite a few thousand QSOs on FT8. I did the DXCC. Logbook of the World, the XCC, in about a month on that after I got my license. But that was most of what I did. Then I went to a park with Morten to do Parks on the Air, and that was fun.
That was a fun activation.
That was a fun activation. That got me hooked. After that, I started more and more to actually start calling CQs, and ended up with the Kilo Award from my local mountain here. So I'm guessing now I have quite a few thousand sideband QSOs logged as well. They're in separate log files because I started using the TEHRS app. But yeah, so I blame you, Morten, for getting me hooked on yet another interesting aspect of this hobby. That was my interruption. Ketil, go ahead.
Yeah, according to QRZ, I'm at about 15,000 or so in my own call signs. But that's I have used a lot of different call signs, so I didn't bother counting up all of them. But I've also done a lot of contest QSOs and club call signs, so I don't know about those. But interestingly, most of my QSOs are portable. I have more under /portable than I have during my main call sign. But now I started just doing without /portable again. So that number is growing again.
I have a lot of. I don't log my VHF QSOs. That's probably a bad thing, but they would probably really almost match my HF QSOs. But yeah, and I like I have 4 different call signs that I've used also, so I'd have to go back and count them. I just looked while we were talking. I've got about 1,000 from SP land here, so that's a year and a half, 1,000 QSOs.
Yeah, I'm with you as well, Walt. I don't log anything on a repeater, and I rarely log any 80 meter nets. So I don't know, but somewhere in the ballpark of 8 to 10,000, I would guess, and then about 1,500 of those are POTA contacts.
All right, I've got a question. This is on topic for propagation. It's something I wanted to ask you guys tonight. All right, where I'm at in Virginia, quarter hop. If you go up straight down and come back down to on the southern hemisphere, the same amount of miles from where I'm at in Virginia. If you go on the other side of it, I'm in Brazil, and I can look at my logbook right now and tell you that I probably have more DX wise. I have more Brazil contacts than any other country. Well, maybe Italy, but you know what I'm saying? It's like I have a ton of Brazilian contacts. Sometimes even when band conditions aren't that great, I can boom right into Brazil. And I'm wondering from Norway, maybe you guys would have to, I'm thinking it would be somewhere maybe North Africa or somewhere like that. Where would be no, it would be farther actually, wouldn't it? It would be down the way that works. You guys would be farther south. Do you guys, have you noticed that or experienced that? For quarter hop,
I think if you do that for where we're at in Norway, you end up somewhere in Africa, I think, and it's not really densely populated with ham radio operators.
No.
Interesting.
And there's also I just put up the map here from Virginia to Brazil here. So,
yeah.
But what you're talking about, I think that's the trans-equatorial propagation. I think I've heard something about that.
Yeah.
And we're a little bit too far north for that, actually.
I experienced that, and it's funny, as you look on the map, it's funny that I get it more into Western Brazil than I do Eastern Brazil. So I really get a lot in down that way, and then over to Ecuador.
But do remember that the Earth is round, though. So when you look west from your coast, you're actually looking to Brazil.
Yeah, for sure. But I noticed that a lot for me, propagation-wise. And then, like we were talking earlier, gray line-wise for me, being in the States, is the gray line is up and down the East Coast and then into South America most of the time. There you go. Nathan says he gets Brazil frequency. Yeah, now I can see that the way Brazil kind of. I've been to Brazil. I actually worked in Brazil, like I am here in Poland. I worked in Brazil for a little while, and I noticed that I would call home or whatever, and it would be. I was in Brazil in June, so it was the middle of winter there, even though the weather was wonderful. And my wife was in summer in June in Virginia, and it would be dark. And I think I was actually 2 hours ahead of her. So it's kind of like I was out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean almost as far as straight up and down, longitude wise for that. So, it's interesting.
It is. And I actually think Brazil was my first real DX contact. If you don't count like the Canary Islands and Israel and those close DX contacts. So
I think that.
Yeah, go ahead, Chetan.
I think that Eastern Brazil, is more common here. I rarely see Western Brazil, as you mentioned. I can't even remember seeing that. I've seen Chile and some of the Western South American countries, but nothing more.
Yeah, that's kind of my experience as well. I tend to get Brazil, Argentina, and sometimes Chile, and then Falklands Islands once in a while. But that's mostly on Digimodes.
Right.
Yeah.
I got I just killed my chat. We're breaking up here, and it's my Wi-Fi. So anybody in the chat, if I don't answer or talk, it's because I'm trying to narrow down how much bandwidth I'm using on the Wi-Fi here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of South Africa, and that would be somewhat equal, I think. Like it's it is further north than we are south, I think, but still, that's a DX country. I hear a lot. I don't see them. I don't manage to do SOS a lot, but that's because I'm on QRP. Yeah, that's a SOTA meetup in Norway. If you want to come to Norway and do a SOTA at 1881 meter summit, where you can actually take an elevator a lot of the way or walk if you're crazy.
It's a nice walk.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
You've never walked? You always took the elevator?
There's an elevator.
Yeah. It's about solving the problem with the least effort.
That's actually an old NATO base. So they have built like a railway that goes into the mountain, and then it goes uphill like at 40 degrees or something for a few kilometers. So it's like 600 elevation meters or so. It's really cool.
I go to that summit. I go to that summit with my son every summer, and this summer I promised we'll take the elevator. He's really fed up with walking up there. It takes it takes a while, but it's a really nice walk, a really nice view. So I'd recommend it for anyone who's got the patience for it. I shared a link if you want to share that. Maybe in I don't know where, Morten. There's something called an I can't pronounce that, azimuthal map. Which basically you tell it where in the world you are, and it draws a globe with that in the center. It's a fantastic tool for figuring out directions for different countries, which can be really difficult on a flat map.
I use that map. I use it a lot, especially here in Poland. I use it here a lot to position horizontal antennas. I really do.
Yeah. It's we have it at the club station as well.
Yeah, I got one on my wall here because I need to know where to point my beams.
Yeah, but maybe you could put the link in the show notes after the show, Morten. So if
I have one on my wall. You'll see it next week when I'm home in the States and I'm in my shack. You'll get to see it over my right shoulder.
Yeah. So what's your locator at home, Walt?
Grid square FM. Oh man, I'll have to look. Hang on, I can't remember the exact grid square. It is. Give me a second. Let me look at me.
Is Foxtrot Mike 16 uniform?
That's it. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
That is spooky.
Thank you so much.
There we go. And,
we know where you live, Walt.
Let's zoom a little bit in here, though, and let's see if we can see here.
Yeah, that's a fantastic tool for figuring out direction of things, I think.
So I wasn't completely right about you seeing to Brazil, but you almost, when you look west, you are southwest. You look towards Brazil now, Walt.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
So cool. It always strikes me a little bit weird though when I point my beam towards North America that it's got to be northwest.
Yeah.
You know, and if you call that map back up, Morten, I'll tell you what's really cool for me, propagation wise, and then it's kind of funny because I've spoken with ZL and VK from here. But look how big that target is for me in the States. You know what I mean? It's huge. You know what I mean? So I do a lot of VK work in the morning. For me, VK in the morning is like it's just I can get up at 5 or 6 in the morning and just talk to everybody in VK land. But a little bit different than you guys. You guys are I never the first and only time I've ever talked to VK long path was from here in Poland. You know what I mean? Because as you can see, I was going over over the long path that way.
But I'm gonna put it from my grid square here though. So because I notice you Americans talk about getting Alaska as a big thing.
I've got one. I've got one Alaska QSO, and the darn guy didn't log. He didn't confirm it, so it's driving me nuts. It's like I got everything confirmed except Alaska and a couple other states to get all 50 states, and I actually I spoke to Alaska on 10 meters. I did it with that when I turned that Delta loop sideways. I was in the harbor, and I talked to Alaska. That was my first only QSO to Alaska. Problem with Alaska, it's not very populated either, so it's hard to get.
No, it's not. But if you look at this map, though, Walt, Alaska is actually closer for us than most of the states on the East Coast.
Right. Yeah, and on top of that, you've got no obstructions between you and Alaska either. You're going across the Arctic Ocean, so.
And it's straight north. That's that. I find that amazing. I would instinctively, looking at a map, I would think beaming west would be a good idea, but it's straight north from here. Yeah.
But what is north when you're on the North Pole? Everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing is north when you're at the North Pole. I guess. Let's see. Let's remove this.
I actually got my first QSO with Australia last year. Or first SSB. I had one FT8 QSO, but that doesn't really count. So I was on the Soto Summit, and suddenly there was
I'm glad
Victor
you
Kilo
said that.
station calling in. Huh?
I'm glad you said that didn't count. No, not me.
Yeah, like for countries, I think it's for me SSB QSOs. But of course, if you're hunting FT8 QSOs, then. Okay, cool. I was really happy when I got that, like the FT8 one, because I was sitting there on that epic club station and couldn't get through to Australia, for years.
Was this at Holmen?
Yes.
Oh, right. That's a fantastic station.
Yeah, so I started at the top of propagation at when the solar cycle was starting to go down a few years back in 2016. So for me, most of the time has been the bands are getting worse. The bands are getting worse. The bands are getting even worse, and then the bands are crappy. So the last 2 years have just been so nice. Things are getting better.
Hey, you know what? It's funny you say that too, and I agree. I know you can tell they're getting better, but I mean, we all experienced it today and last night with there's a lot of geomagnetic activity or whatever, and I hear people go, this solar cycle 25 is nothing. Everybody talked about how great it would be. What you don't understand is we got to have all this happen for the ionosphere to charge and get better. You know what I mean? It's like this is the bump in the road to get on the superhighway. The superhighway is coming, guys. Just hang in there.
Yeah.
I gotta say
that's epic.
And I see Henning here.
Nice.
He did summit to summit with VK from with QRP or close to QRP, as he said. And that is
I guess
awesome.
that was CW, right, Henning?
But speaking about that, is that real ham radio when FT8 is not? I mean, it propagates further than SSB. So how can it be real ham radio then? And it's a set exchange. They don't drag you. So
you know what? At the beginning of radio, when they created Morse code and everybody, they were working so hard to get a voice to go over the air, right? And now it seems like ever since then we've been working so hard to do something other than use the human voice on the radio. There's my this is why SSB is the greatest, because
I actually agree with you, Walt, but I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, and besides that, if you want to be okay at FT8, it's just pushing buttons. If you want to be good or great at FT8, it actually takes some work to get there. So
yeah,
I want to be great at
especially on the
SSB. That's what I want to be great at. QRP SSB. I mean, honestly, I don't want to start an argument here, but if you want to become a really good ham radio operator, you get out there with 5 or 10 watts SSB QRP. You gotta dial your antenna in. You gotta find the right time of day. We're talking about the gray line. You gotta find the right location, like I try to do with saltwater, whatever. You have to find every advantage you can to communicate your voice on SSB at very low power. And I think I've learned more about propagation, about everything, antennas or whatever, because it's the mother of all inventions. Is when you got to get better at something. And I don't want to get on a soapbox here about FT8, but I've heard, I've said something a few times. I had some guys in my comments on my videos. It's like they say something about FT8. I go, yeah, I'm not into FT8. They go, okay, boomer. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you don't understand. Yeah, I may be a boomer, but listen to me. You know what I mean? How about you crank that thing up to 2.7, or whatever, and then you make the same comment, same contact I just did, with 10 watts or whatever. So, and I don't hate FT8. I want more and more people into this hobby. So if that's the way you're going to come into the hobby and that's what you want to do in the hobby, good for you. We all have, what we want to do or whatever. But I'm on my soapbox right now. A guy that can really, really, really make an antenna, build an antenna, work through conditions, and become a better operator is an SSB guy.
Yeah. Did all of you guys notice how easy it was to firewall up?
I wear my heart on my sleeve. But seriously.
Seriously though, I prefer SSB, but that won't stop me from using FT8 on a day like this when conditions are as bad as they are to make the parts
and that's
of the
what
ear
it should
activation.
be for. It's just like Whisper. You're just checking propagation. You know what I mean? And FT8 that's what I think. FT8 is wonderful. I'm not an FT8 guy, but like today, if I had the means, the bands were dead here. I mean, flatline dead, and whatever, I probably would have got on and operated FT8. And as soon as the bands open back up, you'd hear my voice on the air. That's what it's all about. So that's just my opinion. We all have, what they say about opinions, and that's mine. And that's
yeah, but I mean, for me, this is just about using the tools you have to your disposal, though.
Right.
If the choice is not making any QSOs or making FT8 QSOs, I'm going to take the FT8 QSOs.
I'm going to go listen to heavy metal and just like come back the next day when the conditions are good. Me and Bob.
So
I'm going to listen to Don Bagdarrell on his guitar. You know what I mean? And chill out. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
You can only do that for so many days, so you have to take a break and do some radio. I think 4 days is the limit for heavy metal. So so we need some openings in between there. But I agree with what you're saying, Morten, and I agree with your point, Wolf. The thing here is to have the biggest possible toolbox with the largest amount of tools in it. And FT8 is one of those tools. Sideband clearly is one of these tools, and there's tons of other things that I want to get into in this hobby. I've only been doing it for a year. I want to do it all to my wife's.
Every FT8 guy that subscribes to my channel has probably just flipped over and unsubscribed. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't.
And Henning actually says he monitor the reverse beacon network when working CW, and that's an awesome tool to just see where you're heard. And I usually, before I go out on an activation, I'll usually do a little bit of FT8 at home just to get a feel on where the propagation is. I could use Whisper, but honestly, it's a lot more fun making those QSOs than just getting the Whisper reports.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus,
I also use it to decide which.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kevin. Go ahead.
Yeah, I use it to decide which band I'm on. Like when I'm doing portable, if you're operating here in Norway, like usually I do a bit of SSB, and then I give up because I don't get too many replies. And if you're doing a POTA activation and you need 10 QSOs, then I switch over to FT8 if I have the radio or the laptop with me. And then I see, like, should I go on 40? Should I go on 20? Where do I reach? And being heard isn't all of it, of course, but still, it's a good way to see, just check which band is actually that you're actually reaching out to, because what you hear is often like it's often an indication of who you can reach, but it's not always an indication for that.
I like the human side of it too. There's guys that I've never met in my life, probably never will meet in my life. I've made 10, 15 QSOs with them. I look at their QRZ page, I see a picture of them or whatever, and I feel like I know the guy. You don't get that in FT8. You know what I mean? It's just,
no.
Yeah.
What I usually do when I go out portable, if I'm curious about conditions, I don't even hook up my radio. I just tune to the FT8 frequencies to listen. That tells you an awful lot right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I had a fun experience yesterday, propagation-wise, which is more local than the other things we've been talking about here. I was out on the lake here with my boat, and I had QSO with Martin and another local ham radio operator via a repeater. And I'm inside a valley. So here I'm relying on solar propagation, like daytime. It only works during daytime. And now the sun is setting about the same time, and the bands are always dying at that time. So I could like sit there in the boat and I could hear like the S meter just falling. I could see it on the radio, but you could hear it. Like from 9 in the start or 7 or whatever, and down to almost unreadable, because I'm running most likely on a reflection of a mountain here, and that's interesting. Like those local weird conditions you get on UHF, it's so different.
And Mike there just said FT8 is life. And what was the other comment? I think Nathan is like, it's hard to understand the accents.
I'll put it back here.
Listen, and this is probably why I get the okay boomers or whatever. You got to realize I'll be 61 tomorrow. And I grew up in an era where, and I know you guys probably, I'm sure you did too, but I grew up in an era where radio was bigger and meant more than it does now. So, for me, you'd cut on the radio and you would hear, broadcasts. And like, I grew up in the Cold War. I mean, I've been a shortwave listener for 50 years. I would listen to, our own propaganda, Radio Free Europe. I'd listen to Radio Moscow or whatever. But to hear the human voice coming over the radio and to know that it was coming from the other side of the world or whatever. I mean, that's what drew me to the hobby. If a lot of the guys now, they're FT8 guys, they grew up, texting and operating modems and more. They're more computer based or whatever. And good for you. I swear I don't mean any ill will. I'm just an old dude, and that's what it means to me.
But I agree. We've talked about this before also, Walt, about listening to shortwave radio, and that's what got my interest sparked as well. Turning out those shortwave bands and picking up language.
I learned about propagation. I learned about propagation very, very young. I mean, way before I was a ham radio operator, I was a shortwave listener, and I would read, in the States we had Communication World magazine and whatever, and you would learn about, when and where, what bands to use and how to tune in. Like for me, we were talking about South America. I would listen to HCJB in Quito, Ecuador, and I could get that all the time, fine, but I couldn't get Europe all the time. You know what I mean? And I knew certain times a day, 49 meter band, 41 meter band, 25 meter band. I learned 50 years ago. And then when I became a ham, I knew, okay, 25, that's probably a lot like 20, or whatever, in between 20 and 30. The 49 and the 41 meter band for shortwave, okay, that's going to be just like, 40 meters in ham radio. So I learned propagation a lot, like 50 years ago, as far at a very low level as to what time of day, what time of year, and when I could tune and work different bands. So, that was something that coming from the, the receiving voice type, shortwave listener world for me. And I was a hardcore shortwave listener for a lot of years. And in the States, our medium wave is a lot broader, bigger. And for us, I mean, let's just say for you guys to listen to, back in the day, a Norwegian to listen to medium wave, you had Sweden on one side, you could probably get the UK and some of Europe or whatever. Mm-hmm. For me, as a medium wave listener in the States, I could get, which was really cool, I could get Havana, Cuba, I could get Toronto up in Canada, and then all as far as west as we could reach or whatever. And that was DXing, and then even that, I mean, it's probably a lot like the top band, like 160 meters are now as a ham. You kind of learn when and where and how, the best times were per propagation just from listening, So, and that was listening, of course, those guys were pumping 50 and 100,000 watts or whatever. But, you learned a lot about propagation coming into coming into the hobby that way. And it was pretty cool. I mean, back then we weren't listening. I mean, there was RIDI, I guess. And then I know when I was first really interested in ham radio back in, I guess, the 70s or whatever, there was Packet. They called it Packet back then, which was digital or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, getting back to the pure propagation itself, airwaves are airwaves, the bands are the bands. And we as HF people, we're just in the shortwave band, just like shortwave broadcasters are.
Exactly. Just to round off this off-topic discussion, which has dominated most of our show.
I tried to pull it back a little bit.
Bert says that he finds the interaction between a computer and a radio fascinating, and I kind of feel the same way because technology is one of the aspects that pulled me into this hobby. I've always liked tinkering with technology, and ham radio is just one of those tools in my toolbox to do that.
I agree. Yeah. I get that 100%.
Yeah, and back on propagation though, Henning says that the 3-day space weather forecast gives you a good indicator of the conditions next day.
Is that what you wanted to post a link to? Maybe
that's probably what I wanted to.
Especially when Tabitha gives it to us, it's easy to watch.
I got
the link is in the private chat, Martin.
Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna pull it up here now. So let's see here. Just a lot of stuff going on, and it's really hot right now. I have all the doors and windows closed here just to filter the noise out.
I have to learn to read this. I'm a technical person. I appreciate knowing these things, but I haven't learned to read these things. I will just pack a radio and antenna and go out start calling CQ. But I really should learn to read this. I'm guessing as the solar cycles winds down in a few years, I'm gonna have to be better at it. Now you can just find an opening anywhere if you have the patience.
Bob, I'll tell you something right now, though. It's never 100% right. It's never. I look at solar conditions, and then I'll get on the air, and I'm like, oh, they were wrong today. It's just like the weather that you watch every night on the nightly news to see if it's going to rain or not. This is never. It's not an exact science, and it's never right. So what you're doing is the way to do it. Just get out there and do it.
That's what I did for my kilo as well, because there was a period about a month back. People, the POTA groups on Facebook, they were wall to wall complaining about the bad conditions. And one of these days, one of the worst days of only complaining, I sat up on that hilltop and I did close to 100 QSOs in a few hours. So it's not gospel. You just you go out and try. I agree.
It's just like 10 meters. 10 meters during solar minimal. No one gets on it. No one even tries. So they're like, nah, when the solar cycle's low, they don't try. You turn that dial a little bit over into the 27 megahertz world of 11 meters, and people are making amazing DX contacts. And we talked about this last week, but so it really is. You just got to get out there and do it. I mean, it's like.
And propagation wise, though, what I got a ham clock here. I don't know if you guys know the ham clock. It is it's basically a display that shows you everything ham radio related. I got a video on it, so if you don't know it, check that out. And I got a couple of things up on that. I got the sunspot number, the flux, and the K index, and those are the three parameters that I've learned to read and somewhat understand in this.
Pro tip. Look at the solar wind too and see what the speed is of solar wind. I've noticed that one more than anything. Looking at what you were just talking about, Morten, and is solar winds. When you see anywhere between 400 to 500, forget it. For me, maybe, and that could be also where I'm at on the globe. But solar wind, when it gets down in the threes, you're good. Get on and go. You know what I mean? Like 300, 399 down. You know what I mean? You're fine. But I've noticed that when the solar wind's blowing at about 400 and above, that usually it's horrible. And and then like you guys are. You three should be more than anybody. All you gotta do is look at the sky at night. If you see the aurora, okay. The solar winds are cranking, you know what I mean?
Well, we're a little bit too far south for that usually, but when we see the aurora, there's no need in even turning the radios on.
Right.
We do see it a lot, but you just don't see it in the cities. You just see a green haze, but it's there. So, and I'm even farther south than you, and I frequently see it, but often outside. I shared a webpage.
Yeah,
Morten.
I'm on my way. Let's see here.
So this is called MUF. It's the thing that Henning mentioned as well. Or this is an ionosonde from Tromsø, this far north. And down here on the bottom, there's some important numbers called the max usable frequency. And it tells you which frequency you can expect to make a QSO on. And below that frequency, like what's the max frequency for range. So at 1,000 kilometers, you have to be at 6.8 or lower. 3,000, you can maybe get 13 megahertz. This is something I've actually used a lot. And you can see there's a lot of more fancy information here as well.
I use something similar to that called it's Muff Map. If you just Google Muff Map,
I'm gonna pull that up, Walt.
Yeah, this one, the K2CG Muff Map. This one.
Yeah. That one's awesome. I use that. As a matter of fact, I have that on. I leave that on my phone. I don't even get completely out of it when I hit. So. Yeah, that's because if you zoom in right now to Europe, if you can, you'll see what's really.
I can't really zoom.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. No big deal. Don't worry about it. But yeah, you'll see where we're at right now. But that thing is a valuable tool for operating. And I found that's pretty accurate. That thing's pretty darn accurate.
Yeah, it is. So there are a lot of tools. Henning says that VHF and UHF is fun with Aurora, and it absolutely is. I'm
sorry, I just saw Stuart said, "Be careful what."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a diving club, I think, in the UK, which you can join. But I've actually heard CW on 2 meters during Aurora, heavy Aurora, and that was really cool. It's like that ghostly weird voice or beeping noise, which just sounds like, and you can hear it's modulated, but it's not the beeping noise that you usually hear.
So and speaking about the higher bands, though, VHF, UHF. I've had a great deal of fun when there's tropospheric ducting going on lately. That is a lot of fun on 6, 4, 2. Well, I haven't tried 4 yet because there hasn't been any conditions on 4 meters since I got the antenna up. But hopefully they'll give me some experiences on 4 meters as well. I've done some. Not really long, but longer than usual FM repeater contacts with Propo the last couple of days, and that's always a lot of fun.
It's funny you say that because you guys probably don't get that as much as we do because of the FM broadcast band in the United States. This time of year especially, we get sporadic skip. I was on a trip with my son, and we were on the eastern shore of Virginia, driving up the coast, and you lose a radio station. And me and my son were driving. We're heading north, and I started tuning the dial and hitting stations, and station after station was all the way over in Minnesota. Like almost 1,200 miles away, or what's 1,200 miles? Like almost 1,800 kilometers away. And that's a big thing in the United States is sporadic E for FM this time of year. So FM DXers, AM, we have AM and FM DXers is a big thing in the States. FM DXers right now, what they'll do is they'll take their SDR, open up the whole band, they'll have their FM antenna on, and they'll just record it for 24 hours. They'll come back and look through the waterfall, and they'll see something pop up, and they'll go over and listen to it. And it was a sporadic E FM broadcast from, thousands of kilometers away. And sporadic E for VHF FM is a big deal. I don't know if that's so big here in Europe, but in the States, it's a really cool thing. And it's something that broadcast type DXers like myself, we experience that. It's pretty cool.
One of the guys at my local club up here in Norway, I think, I'm not quite sure about the details, but I think they're as follows. He went on 10 meters FM to a repeater in Switzerland and spoke to a guy in Poland. Wow, that I think is pretty amazing.
There's a great 10-meter repeater in New York. I know a lot of Europeans said it.
I've heard a couple of times, never been able to get through to it. And Nathan's got a question which is pretty relevant now that we're into lightning season. If you guys disconnect your antennas, and my answer is yes, I do.
I disconnect mine from the receiver. Is what I do, because I can't get outside and go out to it.
Yeah, I do the same time. Same thing. Yeah. I plug it out here and leave the coax as far as I can get away from the radio.
But something I experienced too is we have hurricane season, like we're in it right now. So we have where I'm up kind of in the northern part of the southeast U.S., we get more of a tropical storm blow than we do a pure hurricane. We get hurricanes maybe 1 or 2 a year. I usually wake up in the morning. I disconnect. I wake up in the morning and look out the window. Is my antenna still up there? Yeah, I made
it. Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I know that the club station at Lima Alpha Fort Charlie at Holman was killed by lightning once. So that was bad grounding. So now it's always grounded when you leave. So, but my gear is always in my backpack when I don't use it. So,
I have two thoughts on disconnecting antennas. First of all, I think that if there's a lightning strike, I'm pretty sure that antenna is going to disconnect itself. And secondly, when you hear reports of lightning rolling in, do you really, really want to go to the back of your radio and touch the antenna connector? Because I just leave it plugged in. That sounds a lot safer. I can afford a new radio. I'd rather not die.
That's a good point.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
That's why you have the isolation switches and relays that you do it with, if you have a big setup. So if you always isolate it and shunt it to ground instead of your radio when you're leaving the radio, then that's the way they did it over at Fort Charlie, at least.
I have my ham radio equipment listed in my homeowner's insurance, so I'm like, hit it, baby, hit it. I'm getting a new radio.
Let's hope your insurance company is not punching in the street.
I have a copper roof on my house, and at the top of the copper roof, I have a lightning rod. I really think for me, I'm safe, because if lightning was going to hit, it would hit that lightning rod and ground out before it would hit the antenna. I think I keep telling myself that, so maybe that'll be the case.
So, go ahead, Chad.
I've cut down a few trees here at the cabin, and on both sides of the cabin, I've cut down trees that have been hit by lightning. So I'm considering, was that a bad idea to remove them? One of them had a fist-sized hole punched through a branch, and it had just kept going afterwards. It was just so amazing to see that power and things being exploded there. Yeah. But now there's not many trees left.
This is why you don't go by the radio when there's lightning.
Yeah, you guys are Nordic, though. That's just Thor telling you everything's all right.
No, he's angry.
Yeah.
That's the point. He's angry when he's out.
So, but then again, your radio is not going to survive a direct strike, even if your antenna is grounded or not.
That's why you should have a $400 Zygo G90. There you go. I had to get that in there.
Yeah. We're closing in on the hour mark pretty fast. As usual, this hour goes by really, really fast. So I think we stayed somewhat on topic today. Better than other shows.
Yeah, mostly.
And take me down to Paradise City where the grass is the girls so pretty.
Careful! I don't want to get us demonetized.
I don't sing that good. I don't think I have to worry about it. I'm not that good of a singer.
I can tell you this because I know you are in fact much better than Axl Rose at this moment. So
as long as you don't sing Metallica, we're probably good.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's see. Next week, Walt, there's some changes coming to your setup next week.
It will be 3 p.m. when I'm on here next week, so that'll be wonderful. Yeah, and then everybody will question if this is the European ham radio show, why do you have an American on there? But I'll be back and forth to Europe. This isn't my last time here, but I'm closing out my European vacation, as I guess some people call it. But the guys in my office say that Walt's going on European vacation again. But yeah, this is my last week. I will be headed over. I'm about 65 kilometers from Gdansk, so I'm going to head to Gdansk Thursday. I'm not going to take the antenna down until probably Thursday morning. If I can, I may go and do a live stream just to try to make some contacts with some people that said they wanted to make a contact with me here in Europe. I may do that Thursday morning. I'll get everything finally packed up and gone. Friday, fly back to the States. Saturday, suffer through jet lag, and then either it's a holiday weekend, vacation type holiday weekend. It's our Independence Day weekend next weekend, so I'll be off until the following Wednesday. I want to try to get out, just get in the harbor. I miss my G90. I'm going to crank it up and get down there and put an antenna up and go portable maybe Sunday afternoon after the feed, after we do this, and then definitely Monday. I've got Monday off. I'll do that and get back to my normal life, I guess. Another thing, I'll talk about this, and people that subscribe to my channel, you'll start seeing it. I've ordered some. I really want to start experimenting with satellites. I got the Arrow antenna and some VHF, UHF stuff, and I'm going to start playing around with that. But yeah, it'll be a little bit different. I don't know. I will be traveling again. That could be Guam. That could be the United Kingdom. I'm really pushing hard. I want to start maybe doing what I did here in Poland. It could be the UK. So if that happens, I'm pretty excited about that because I've got some great friends in the UK, and I'll be able to like meet them face to face, whatever. But yeah, this is it for me and Poland. This week is see you later, Poland. It's been real. It's been nice. I've had the most wonderful, amazing year and a half here. All of you guys, I met you guys by being here. You know what I mean? And it's been a great thing. And I'm just, it's kind of got a little bit of a melancholy and sadness to it. But on the other side of it, I can't wait to get home and go portable in the harbor and see my family.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, you mentioned your G90 before you mentioned your family, though.
So, my wife might watch this. Can we edit that
out? But just to tell our viewers, you will not be leaving TEHRS, though. You'll still be a part of our show. You'll be our American
forever.
ally.
I told you I'm European by DNA. You know what I mean? So I'm just as European as you guys are. So I'll be here for you.
And Henning asked, "What's your line of work, Walt?"
My line of work, I'm an engineer. I'm a design engineer. So my company designs things. And then when they're being built, they send me out into the field as they're being built. And I get yelled at.
So let's move on a little bit. Bob, next week, any more radio time?
Yeah, there's vacation time with the wife. We're going to Denmark, so I'm going to do the world's most boring SOTA summit, probably, which is you can crawl up that mountain in 10 minutes, or that hilltop in 10 minutes. But I'm going to do it just to have an OSED in the log for SOTA this year as well. And of course, the three of us, the Norwegians, are going on an excursion on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I got a little bit of a Google Maps 360 image here.
Yeah,
just gotta understand technology good enough to put it up. On Tuesday afternoon, we're going to do a POTA here, and what you see here is salt water.
Yeah.
And I think there's a YouTuber that does a little bit about operating salt water.
That salt water is as sexy as the G90 right there, baby. I'll tell you what.
Bring my G90.
Perhaps we could get, perhaps we could get someone to bring their G90 as well.
There you go.
Mine's in the car. I can bring the G90 easy. Well, maybe we should. Should we commit to some bands? Because I can easily bring an antenna for 20, and I need to bring one for 10 because of the my net on that afternoon. So at least
I think wherever the propagation leads us, actually. And my car is full of antennas and masts and radios. Amplifiers, tuners, radio gear, basically. So I just need to charge some batteries before we go. But we'll probably be doing 3 operators, 1 radio. That would probably be the easiest way to do that, I think.
Yep.
And I haven't checked how easily accessible this is by car, but I do remember from my childhood summers in the area that there's a bike path going pretty close to the beach there.
It looks like we're about a 500-meter walk. It looks like from where we can park cars.
It's been some years since I was a kid and spent my summers in that area, so my memory might be fooling me.
At least it's not inside the Navy base you want to go to first.
Our first nature preserve that I found was inside a Navy base, so that's kind of out of the question.
You know what's sad? Out of the 4 people here, you guys live in Norway and you're all Norwegian. I'm probably the only guy that can get on the Navy base.
I was deemed medically unfit for military service, so I don't have a chance.
I have a security clearance, which is the name of it is not cleared. It's the level 0. It's specifically you're not allowed to know anything about. I got that from the Norwegian Army.
So that's some of and Denmark. I mean, doing SOTA summits in Denmark. You've done a couple of them, haven't you, Kjetil?
Yes, I have. Last year, I actually had to evacuate. I went to the highest one in Denmark. It was extreme, but actually the weather was so bad with a heavy snowstorm that came in. So I actually had to pack down and run the 20 meters back to the car because it was really, really bad. And like you park up high and then you have to go down 5 meters and then up 5 meters. So the parking lot is actually the same height or higher than like the natural summit. So I've done a few of them. I was also considering going back because I'm also on vacation and taking all of them just to say that I've cleared everything in 2 countries. I cleared all of them in the Netherlands as well, or both, as you call it. But they were actually, one of them was actually quite a nice walk. Like it was actually a summit, while the ones in Denmark are slow.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I would highly recommend going to Netherlands, but Belgium is perfect because you get 3 points. They have 10 pointers where you park on the summit. And if you go in winter, you get winter bonus as well. And they have a restaurant where they serve good food and beer.
Sounds like a good. I have to ask you because you know things, Kjetil. The rule of summits is that you have an activation zone that extends 25 meters down from the summit. So
Yes.
what percentage of Denmark's total area would be considered an activation zone? I think that would be a fairly substantial amount.
Yeah, quite a lot of it. But in theory, you should also be close to the summit in vertical or in a horizontal plane, but there's no set limits for that.
Yeah. So.
I know we're trying to close out, but this just came across my mind. So when you're in Denmark as Norwegians, communication-wise, language-wise, is it? I mean, do you guys speak English to each other? How do you do that?
I do. We my company got bought by a Danish company. I insisted we speak English, and I'll tell you why. The Danes, they when they count basically. They have a strange system where they count to 20 instead of 10. For the 10s. Or the 20s, that would be it's bizarre. I just refuse to do it. I speak only English to Danes.
Danish is not that hard though.
But if I went into a bar in my broken Swedish and said, "Yeah, drink a öl," would they understand that I want a beer?
They're really friendly. They do their best. Yeah.
Yeah, they would understand öl.
Yeah.
So, I make a point of never speaking English to a Dane because the languages are so similar. And Britain, they're actually really, really close. So, vocally not as close,
Scotland,
but
so that's English. So it is what it is.
Kjetil, you're next week.
My next week, Tuesday, radio with you guys. And then I haven't decided. I'm waiting for the weather to decide where I go on. If I go to Sweden, if I go to Denmark, or if I go further north in Norway. I just know that in 2.5 weeks, I have to be back at work.
Yeah,
that's the best. That's the absolute best sort of vacation. When that describes the plan, that's the best vacation ever.
Yeah. So I have a big tent in my car, and as some of you saw on my YouTube channel, I have a box of 24 MREs, so I have enough food for those 2 weeks. Basically, I go wherever the weather and feelings take me, and I will be doing SOTA, flora fauna parks on the air. From whatever I feel like on the way. Some mountains, some drone photos. Yeah, basically just enjoying summer.
That's awesome. In the States, we call that being on island time. You're going to be on island time.
Yeah.
I'm probably, I have 2 days of work left until vacation. So when I'm done with my last day, I'm taking the ferry over to meet up with you guys, and hopefully there will be some radio time, and there will at some point during my vacation be some RV time and some vacation other than at home. And the weather forecast is probably the deciding factor on that. But I'll make room for radio, and I'll make room for portable radio other places than I usually do. And those are my plans.
Sounds nice.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Or more lack of a plan, but sometimes that's the best plan there is.
Best way, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we'll keep streaming these streams going on during the summer as well. At least that's the plan for now, right? So maybe some of us will be gone some of the days. But yeah, we'll be here and have some fun topics.
We'll absolutely do the streams and decide what to talk. And usually we don't really need a topic, though. But the topics
we stay pretty much on topic today.
Yeah.
We spoke about the topic today. I think we can say.
Yeah, I think.
But topics are more like guidelines, though. So
yeah.
And also I'm going to try the slide winder next week.
I'm looking forward to seeing those videos.
Yeah. Another one of my favorites. You're gonna love it. Hey Tim, G5TM just did a great video with some great context using the slide winder. I don't know, he just put it out a while ago.
Yeah, I got a couple of comments on my my China Stack videos from the creator of the slide winder, and also you guys and Tim. And if I wasn't to borrow the antenna first, I'd probably go out and buy it.
I have 2 of them. That's how much I love it.
Yeah,
I have 2 of them. I want to set 2 of them up and co-phase them and use them. I bought it just for that. So
just out of curiosity, and even though we're 15 minutes in overtime, if you put both of those coils on, can you do 80 with the military whip then?
You can do 80 without it. I think you extend that coil
you,
to the full and the military whip. I think you can do 80. You can't do 160, but I think you can do 80. Yeah. You just need the one.
I have the Wolf River coil for 80. I know for me, I think with the Sidewinder I could do 10 through 40. I've never done. I can't tune it to 80. I'm not, and I hope M1 ECC isn't watching. He's probably going, "Walt, you're killing my sales." But you know, I mean, it's like I don't think you can do 80 with it.
Then we have different antennas because I can't tune mine down to 10 or up to 10 depending on how you look at it. I can't get them 10 on that.
I just say you just go all the way up, all the way off, basically for 10.
Yeah, but
depending on the whip.
The military whip is about 2.5 meters, isn't it?
It's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect for 10.
So if you just remove the coil, that should give you
put the whip on. Yeah, especially if you have a G90, you just do the ATU.
Yeah, because that's the way you do it with the JPC 12 as well. Anything above 20, you remove the coil. And then
honestly, we're getting a little off topic, but on with the Sidewinder, I'll be honest with you. If it's going to be the first time you use it. It's like one click down on the coil and you're in 12. It's really 10 is I'm going to be honest with you. 10 is difficult with that coil. I just bought. I haven't used it yet either. He's got a new collapsible whip that screws, the stainless one that screws together. It's waiting on me in the States. I think he was telling me you can take one section of that off, screw it in, and then tune 10 with the Sidewinder instead of using the military whip.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's going to be nice to try an antenna that's got a 3/8 mount and not an M10 mount, which is pretty much incompatible with all my other gear.
Yeah.
We are the European ham radio show, aren't we? So we're committed to M units.
To using metric measurements.
Not bald eagles and Miller lights. So
being the designer of NATO equipment, we use 3/8 all over NATO. So you guys are NATO country.
But Morten, did you like the measurement unit I had for the weight, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So like my crate weighs 3 European haired eagles.
But that actually comes from when I was first time I was a guest on Coffee and Ham Radios, and there was Ape did a conversion to Miller Lights and Bald Eagles, either Ape or Jim, I can't remember who, but it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And you passed it on to me now, and all I do is say "Screaming Eagle feet, Screaming Eagle inches." I got that from Morton, guys. Every time you hear me say the word "Screaming Eagle,"
yeah. And just before we end, I see that Beanie here asked if anyone's got a 23 centimeter, and I guess he's meaning an antenna. If you join our Discord, link down below, there's a buy, sell, trade channel there. So join our Discord if you're not in there, and post there. Someone might have one.
Yep.
Yeah. We're 18 minutes overtime now. I think we should say goodbye.
I forgot one thing, but we'll do that next week. So just let's say I got an all-in-one cable, the AIOC, on the way. We'll talk about that when that arrives. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next Sunday with some kind of topic. 7-3.
7-3,
guys.